Hello, Savannah. Hello, Savannah, and hello, Mr. Lorray Benton.
Good
It is,
afternoon, good evening.
it is indeed a good evening. We have had a busy Monday. We've had a busy week. I'll tell you all more about my week and my weekend, and the campaign and all things going from chair to mayor. But in the meantime, I want to bring your attention to what we're talking about tonight, and that is Savannah is growing and developing, but for who? You?
Hmm, hmm.
Savannah is growing rapidly and developing exponentially, but for who? Is it you?
Not
So,
us.
Mr. Ben,
Definitely not us.
I wanted to have you come on tonight because we have seen more of occurrences as of late. And with a little less than 180 days left before the next mayor takes office, before, oh my gosh, I get chills every time I think about this. Y'all, I'm about to be the 68th mayor of Savannah.
You sure is.
So, and so,
Mhm.
as I wrap my head around that huge responsibility, I cannot help but try to tackle and take care of what's before me now, right? I can't wait for 170 days to come before I ask the citizens of Savannah to help me help them. And so, in a few short days, a little less than a week, we will be entertaining the millage rate. The millage rate determines how much you will pay in your property taxes. For 3 years, roll back the millage rate, which ultimately would have resulted in a property tax decrease for citizens. But instead, for 2 of the 3 years that we've been in office, the mayor and his majority on this council have voted to keep the millage rate the same, which essentially increase people's property taxes. So if you haven't received that escrow check that you were accustomed to receiving every year at the end of the year from your mortgage company, if you have experienced an increase by your landlord, if you are a renter, because renters are individuals who are going to absorb the brunt of this blow. And
Mm-hmm.
if you are a property owner and you say, I had Stevens Day, my value was supposed to be frozen. But even with Stevens Day, when we continually fail to roll back the millage, it yields a property tax increase. Now, the language of the state and the language that our local politicians use is deliberately ambiguous. But at the end of the day, we want to keep it simple and basic math. And the bottom line is you tell your representative and you tell your mayor and you tell your at-large representatives that you only want what will yield a property decrease. So let's not
Mm-hmm.
talk about increasing your taxes. Just ask for what it's going to take to yield a property tax decrease. And I'll tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take this council rolling the millage rate back. Now you will hear that the millage rate is the lowest that it has been in 35 years. It's the lowest that it has ever been in 35 years. Well, I submit to you, it's not the lowest that it could be. In the previous year, the city manager proposed not to roll back the millage rate, which would have essentially yielded a property tax decrease for our citizens because we needed to increase the starting pay of incoming officers. We have
Right.
been down more than 100 officers ever since we have been in office. In fact, we're down more officers now than we ever have been in the previous years. And so if we were increasing or not rolling the millage back so that we can increase the wages, the incoming wages of police officers and give current police officers raises, How were we able to do that with officers we don't have? Right? And so we now ask the question, where did that money go? I also want to say, Mr. Benton, that in that year, we actually collected more tax revenue than we needed. Because the values of Savannah's properties is so high, we actually collected more revenue than we needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, again, where did that money go? Fast forward, we have received a lot of feedback from citizens in the community who are concerned about the signage from the Metropolitan Planning Commission, MPC, where they are announcing a July 11th meeting tomorrow, where the Victorian Neighborhood Association has requested to extend the hotel overlay.
Mm-hmm.
The first alarm was sounded when someone saw the signage in front of Caton Homes. And then as we drive around the community, we see that signage in some of our most vulnerable, but today's standards, coveted neighborhoods. And so I asked Mr. Benton to come on, one, to give us an update on the status of saving Yamacraw,
Mm-hmm.
also to tie in the parallel of how this recent petition somehow mimics the threat to Yamacraw. And then we're going to talk about, if you go to my Facebook page after the show, you'll see where we've taken several video and pictures of the growth and development that's occurring in Savannah. And again, we ask the question, Savannah is growing and developing, but for who? Is it you, the people who were born here, raised here, graduated high school here, grew up here, got married here, even retired here? Is it for you? And we talk a lot about affordable housing. Mr. Benton, I think I've said enough, sir.
Yeah. So let's first one, thank you, Miss Future Mayor, for inviting me on the show again. When I first started my fight and our plight for Yamacraw, it wasn't just for Yamacraw. I sounded the alarm for Yamacraw, Fraser Home, and Caton Home, right? Because I saw, as a real estate developer, I saw what was coming down the road, right? And so earlier, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, when the sign was purposely put in front of the Fraser Home sign, the sign that says Fraser Home, when the notice for the MPC hearing was put for the hotel expansion, rezoning and overlay was purposely put in front of the Fraser Home sign, that was by design. That was purposeful, right? Because they could have put it anywhere on the property. They could have put it anywhere in the community, right? That's the reality. But they purposely put it in front of the sign that said Fraser Homes, right? And so I said it all along. Fraser, they came after Yamacraw, and I'm beating them down. They ain't like, listen, they ain't taking down Yamacraw, not the way that they thought they was gonna do it. And I said to Fraser Homes and Caton Homes, y'all are next, right? This attempt to expand the hotel motel overlay district, right? It's a covert way to, what they're really doing is purposely rezoning the area and actually getting both the MPC and the city to rezone the area so that developers can actually come in and already be pre-approved to put in hotels by right and not even allow the citizens to have even a fight to do so because it's already pre-approved.
Right. So what do you say to critics who say, and I'll tell you for full disclosure, I talked to the city manager when I received the calls and when I saw the signs myself, because I did not know that this was a petition that the Victorian Neighborhood Association and its residents were interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But this is often how things are presented to us. It's generally the public hears it first and then we get knowledge of it. And then it's interesting how the Victorian Neighborhood Association was able to get this before the NPC and subsequent on our city agenda when you have neighborhoods like Carver Village, you have neighborhoods, you have the Yamacraw, you had the Weeping Time, who were not able to enact or make petition for similar request. That's a whole nother show. But what do you say to critics who say you all are not reading? You're simply not understanding that this simply is an extension of the overlay that already exists in the downtown corridors that will preclude developers from building hotels in these areas.
Okay. So, first of all, like when I read because I read through all of the information, right? And even when you look at the map, right? Because I'm looking at it and I'm reading the documents that was before the NPC, and ironically, the meeting that was supposed to be before the NPC tomorrow, which actually included the SCAD building along Louisville Road. Ironically, that meeting is actually canceled for tomorrow. Ironically. Wow, go figure. Right? Because I was planning to be there tomorrow. So ironically, that meeting is canceled. So when you go to the NPC's website, the meeting is canceled tomorrow. The agenda is no longer on there, but I had already downloaded the agenda, right? But when you look at the agenda and everything that's actually on there, right? What people don't understand when you talk about a overlay zone, right? So overlay is the same thing as a PUD, right? Or a PUD is a planned unit development. Right? So what that does is it gives the developers by right? What it does is it sections off a large acreage or a large area of a city, of a county, of whatever. But what it does is it actually pre-plans a large area of a city. And it automatically pre-approves certain developments by right, so that the developers don't have to come back before the city council, or they don't have to go back before the public by right, because it is already approved one time.
And thus, that's why you have a lot of the environmental injustices that we see in the Carver Village, Cloverdale, Carver Village, Brickyard, mainly Ogeechiton area, where you have lots of manufacturing plants. It's why we see a lot of what's happening out in West Chatham. It's why we see a lot of what has happened in our West Side corridors. So I think people become numb to this maneuvering, if you will.
Yeah, no, and see what they try to do is, you know, they try to say, oh, you're not reading this right, right? Oh, oh, well, you're not understanding the ordinance right, right? You know what I mean? You can pull that over somebody that don't know, right? I know what I'm talking about, right?
And the sad part about where we are and where I'm sitting, I see a lot of what I consider gaslighting. I see manipulative movement. I see a lot of, phraseology, if you will, that is used with certain groups and organizations where your leader is talking over your head and talking at you as opposed to talking with you. And I specifically asked you to come on tonight because um, a lot of what you experienced, went through, and are going through with the Saving Yamakra uh, development is eerie similar to what we now are seeing going on with this latest petition. I mean, I have never seen so many of those NPC signs out at once surrounding an entire corridor. A corridor that's already undergoing mass gentrification, a corridor that is coveted and vulnerable all at the same time. And so, while we are continually sounding the alarm, because we only have one Lorraine Benz and we have one Yamakra, and you all have expended your own personal resources. You, along with your mother, Georgia Benton, and your entire family have invested time, talent, and resources. Again, I asked you to come on because of not only your experience, but your background and your expertise. Tell us a little bit about your background, your expertise, and then tell us what people who are advocates and proponents of Fraser Homes and even those in the Victorian district who think they may be doing the right thing by their neighborhood, just school us and tell us what they should be doing and what we should do next. So again, your background, expertise, experience, where we are with Yamakra, and what these people need to be doing going forward.
Okay, so one, I'm a PhD nuclear physicist. So, and I'm actually a federally government trained nuclear reactor inspector, federal government inspector, and environmental inspector. So, trained by the federal government, period. So, everything in regards to the environment, from OSHA, from the Clean Water Act, from EPA standards, I've been trained by the federal government, from federal regulations to state regulations to city regulations. I've been trained by the federal government, so I know them, from the federal government to the state government to the county government to the city government, all the way down. I'm also a certified community development entity through the Department of Treasury New Market Tax Credits, specifically for the state of Georgia. So, with that training and certifications, you can't talk over me, and I know it from the theory all the way down to the laws. So when I speak on it from a professional standpoint, from a certification standpoint. So all of these engineers that think they can run circles around me, you can't. All of these lawyers that think you can run circles around me, you can't, because I know the law better than you. I promise you, right? And I'm homegrown from straight from Savannah, Georgia, right? So I know the area because I grew up in it, right? Now, with that being said, like, everything that I'm doing, I'm genuine about it. And so when we're advocating for Yamakra, I don't have a stake in Fraser Home. I don't have a stake in Caton Homes. I'm simply doing and advocating and doing what's right by the people, right? And
But
so
grew up in Yamacraw. Your family.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. My both of my parents grew up in Yamacraw. They met. Both my mama grew up in Yamacraw. My daddy grew up in Yamacraw, and I grew up in Yamacraw.
And your
right?
church.
You know what I mean. My church, First Brian Baptist Church, is in Yamacraw, so that's my tie to Yamacraw. Both my parents met in Yamacraw, so that's why. Don't get me wrong. I'm personally invested in Yamacraw Village. Right, and so that's where so that's where my fight stems from, and not only protecting Yamacraw Village, but also protecting the structure of First Brian Baptist Church. That's where the fight is, right? And so even as the fight really extends, the fight extends really along the Keasha Canal, because the Keasha Canal starts from the Savannah River at Yamacraw, but then as it goes up through Savannah, it goes through Frogtown, it goes up through Caton Homes, it goes up through Fraser Homes, it goes up through Tatumville and Carver Village and all that. So that's where the community becomes connected. That's where it becomes connected. And so what people don't realize is that they think that they don't have a dog in the fight. You just don't know. You have a voice in the fight. Unfortunately, your elected politicians, and your elected staff members, in terms of the people that you are employing with your tax dollars that work for the city of Savannah and Chatham County, right? They're not advising you as to how to fight, right? But you have a voice, and there are people like myself that can show you how to fight, right? But you have to stand up and fight for yourself.
Yeah, and to that point, as I chart my course for this higher office, Sister Roz, I had an opportunity to spend time with activists and advocates of the renaming of a square downtown to Susie B. King Taylor. And one of the things Rosalind Rouse stated, as she made reference to me, she says, "You have been leading and you have been bleeding." And forward with me, because I've never really looked at my service to people as painful, more than I have looked at my service as it requires me to work alongside people as painful. And with that said, I can't help but recognize the bleeding part that she mentioned. She says, "You have been leading and you have been bleeding." And I'm not making any excuses. I signed up for this work. Well, I knew it wasn't going to be a bed of roses. I didn't realize what an underbelly of an experience it would be. Nonetheless, I am one who aligned myself with the Word of God, where He says, we know that He says. This is probably not in the Word. Now that we got a pastor here, I got to make sure. I got to make sure I'm contextually correct. But where He sends you, He will equip you. And that, I have not shuddered. I have not faltered. I have not wondered, and I am not weary of the work that I am doing on behalf of the people. But I gotta say to you, based on what you just said, it's painful to have to recognize the pieces related to fighting for the people, and then fighting
the people.
Yeah.
Fighting people to understand why you're fighting for what you're fighting for, and why I'm using the weapons that I'm using to fight.
All the people you're fighting for are fighting you.
Yeah, right. But you know what? Listen. You gotta look at it this way. right? Jesus was fighting for the people, and the people didn't even know it.
Pow.
You know what I mean? Like you, we listen, and everything me and my mom have been doing, we ain't got time to stop and explain to everybody why we doing what we doing.
Thank you.
We ain't got time. Like I ain't got time to bring everybody up to speed why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm doing. I ain't got time. I just know this what we gotta do, right? This, you know what I mean? I know why I'm doing it. We know why we doing it, right? And so when it has to be done, like when the job has to be done, when God places it in our hearts to do it, we gotta do it. Look, God doesn't equip everybody for the same fight. He don't. So those that he equipped when he gives us the vision, we gotta walk that path.
Well, here's the thing for me. Right now, I'm looking at two people. I'm older, of course, than both of you. And you all give me hope. LaRae, you are a jewel, that a unique character, a unique person, a unique talent, a gift. Now, if you take credit for your intellect, then you're a fool because it was a gift.
Right.
If you take credit for your tenacity, you're an unwise person because it was a gift.
Right.
Now, on the other hand, we have Kesha Gibson Carter. Smart, talented, able to go anywhere on earth except going through what she's going through. And even in today's newspaper, they are starting that disinformation tack on her. They're starting they're cranking up the machine that ran our first Black female city manager out of Savannah. They ran, most people won't remember this, but for 6 days in a row, they ran 2 full pages. And some of those days, it was 2.5 pages of writing about one person. And when the dust cleared, she was fired. She left Savannah and went somewhere else, was a jewel, made more money, got hired immediately, and did great. But the great things that she was going to do for Savannah, they wouldn't allow. We now have a chance to undo that in Kesha Gibson Carter. Now, one of the things that jumps out at me, and it made me, I was riding hard to get here. And so, and the fact that I did not know until I heard on this show, that's why people need to listen to this show, that they canceled the meeting for tomorrow. You know why they canceled the meeting for tomorrow? Because Black folk were aware, as long as they could keep us in the dark, as long as they can do things undercover, as long as they can flip the script, okay, as long as they can use what the magicians call prestidigitation, sleight of hand, in politics, they're going to do it. Right now, the Savannah Morning News, WTOC, WSAV, WJCL, they're cranking up their sleight of hand machine against Kesha Gibson Carter because they know if she's elected, it will not be business as usual. They will not be able to. The case of this thing with Kate Home and Frazier Home, we've been talking about for 3 years. Okay, they're going to tear it down. Elizabeth,
point, Pastor, this is what I want to say, and this is why I tell people, don't major in the minor, and be mindful that the greatest enemy of direction is distraction. And I give credit to my pastor, George Lee, for that. The greatest enemy of direction is distraction. So you put in the paper this salacious experience that I had with Curtis Purdy when he called me out of my name, when he called me a Black LB. You used the picture, but you didn't the words. You didn't make mention to any of that, but you use my face and my name clickbait, and you do not make one reference to the efforts that I put forth on council, where homelessness is concerned, where reducing crime is concerned, where my advocacy to make this government more transparent, to cut wasteful spending. You do nothing with the work that I've done to provide more support to our police officers, to roll back the millage rate. They take up space in the paper at a time when this local government, in 2 short days, will be entertaining increasing property taxes for citizens. But this is what Bill Bowers takes up space with. And so we want to remind Savannah Morning News that this is not our first rodeo. We've been here before. And I want to lead you and introduce you to Mark Massey, who is the clerk of the city of Savannah. He has a packet for all candidates who are running for office. And so for all the takers at Savannah Morning News, I'm just simply asking that you show yourself. You show yourself and make known who my opponent is. Because, you know, I'm not just running against Savannah's opponent who's currently in office. I actually have to run against the media affiliates. I have to now run against the local newspaper. And I say to the people who are advertising with these outlets, be aware, because more citizens than none are waking up and they're not buying the bad news. But Pastor, I wanted Lorraine to take us to this one final point, and I want to come back to this whole media piece. The Canal District. We have an image that we want to put up, because there was a headline, speaking of headlines, Pastor Small, there was a headline that acknowledged that the city of Savannah was in current negotiations, unbeknownst to me, and at-large
sitting on council.
Garnered the most votes in the 2019 election, only second to Alicia Miller Blakely. We didn't know that we were in negotiation with the Savannah College of Art and Design in the development of the Canal District. So, Mr. Benton, I ask you to share your credentials, not because I wanted you to brag, because I appreciate your humility and how you go about in that way. But I wanted you to talk about your credentials, because you're knowledgeable of the fact that the development of that Canal District has to have certain boxes checked. And where we are now, we are kind of overstepping a few steps. Explain that to us, and Pastor, you can chime in there too.
Yeah. Okay. So so for one, what a lot of people don't know is put the picture back up. Yeah. So what a lot of people don't know is, one, the Geechee Canal, the entirety of the Geechee Canal is actually on the Federal Register. So what that means is that it is actually a protected asset that is on the historic registry of not only the state of Georgia, but the United States itself, under both the Department of Interior and the National Park Service.
Exactly.
Right? Also, being that it is actually a protected waterway under the Army Corps of Engineers, because it is a navigable waterway that dumps directly into the Savannah River.
Right.
That means that the Geechee Canals falls under 2 federal agencies, right? The Army Corps of Engineers is a given, but it also falls under it also falls under 3 federal agencies, actually: the Department of Interior and the National Park Service.
That's right.
Right. So what that means is that, just like in Yamacraw Village, HUD actually required Earlene Davis and the Housing Authority they actually required them to actually do a section chapter 36 CFR section 106 historical review
106
for Yamacraw Village, right? Because what that historical assessment is, it has nothing to do with HUD. That section of the federal code simply says that if a federal agency takes any action and anything that falls under that agency's purview, if it's an approval or permit, that may, that may actually affect anything of historical value. Anything that they have to actually order a Section 106 review. That's federal law. That ain't something that the state of Georgia can sweep up under the rug. That ain't something that Chatham County can sweep up under the rug. That ain't something that MPC or the city of Savannah can sweep up under the rug. So with that being said, you got 3 federal agencies that SCAD and the city of Savannah has to go through dealing with the Ogeechee Canal and the actual head house of that railroad, that building off of Louisville Road. So with that being said, they have to, it's federal law that they have to do a Section 106 review of that property before SCAD and before the city of Savannah can approve anything on that property. Otherwise, they're violating federal law, and then the city of Savannah and anybody that approves it, they're gonna find themselves in U.S. District Court.
Yep.
U.S. District Court.
No question, and we'll lose.
And they will be fined.
Yes.
So again, we ain't talking about Georgia law. That's federal law. So and again, the MPC and the city of Savannah, you can't act like you don't know because you just did it for HUD with Earlene Davis and the Housing Authority. You know it already.
So
the same thing applies to the Weeping Time property, by the way.
I was going to say, so between the Weeping Time property, Yamacraw, and now the Canal District, and before we know it, Caton Homes, what must we say to these things? And so when I say I need your help, Savannah, I will be inheriting quite a bit as mayor. And so this is one problem that we really do not want to inherit. Not that we won't be able to tackle it, because we will be working to put forth some actionable items to demonstrate our
listen.
Well, let me say this so everybody, people can understand it quickly. Since our new city manager, Jay Melder, became the city manager, and somehow or another Van Johnson got him under his thumb, the executive sessions that city council should be having have not taken place.
Right.
City council has not had proper executive sessions, a proper executive session, for over 2 years.
Thank you for bringing that up. And let me mention, this is the first time he has ever been a city manager. So that means he has never, ever been in an executive session.
Never.
And the session is reserved for real estate and litigious actions. And we have been voting on and passing many. Carry on, Pastor.
Well, the thing is, no government, no corporate entity, no county commission, no school board, no city government, anywhere, I said anywhere in the state of Georgia, goes 2 years without an executive session. Personnel, legal matters, land acquisitions.
Right.
Now they're talking about land acquisitions, and they've not had an executive session. That makes no sense. Nobody does that.
Right.
Listen, this is not LeRae Benton. This is not Keisha Gibson Carter. This is Reverend Small telling y'all Van Slick Winnie Johnson is as bad as Donald Trump. I don't care what nobody says.
Right.
That's an autocratic circumstance when you don't do what elected officials are supposed to do by rote, by standard, by everybody does it.
Actually, Reverend Smalls, you know what it's called? It's called a violation of your fiduciary duty. That's what it's called. And listen, that's in Georgia. That's in Georgia legislative law. That's a violation. That's actually a violation of not only your oath that you took when you actually raised your right hand and said, I, Van Johnson, would actually do what's in the best interest of the city, other people of the city of Savannah, right? But it's also a violation of the charter of the city of Savannah.
It went something like this: without fear, without favor, or affection. And I just want to acknowledge that this is a nonpartisan show, and I definitely appreciate the analogy. But I have to say,
it's nonpartisan, but not me.
I have to say this. The impact and the implications that these actions and past actions will have on our citizens, Democrat, Republican, Black, white, male, female, gay, straight, will signal the difference between the people who were born here, raised here, grew up here, and even those who retired here. It is going to signal the difference between them being able to afford to live here and have to move from here. Listen, I had a friend who I graduated from high school with here in Savannah, Georgia. I lived at 36 in East Broad, and she lived on Anderson Street, right across from the St. Pius Center. She spent over 20 years in the U.S. Armed Services. She came back home to visit her brother, who now lives in Port Wentworth, and she had to stay in a hotel in Pooler. Because she had to go that far out to be able to afford a hotel. And her brother lives in Port Wentworth because of the housing market here in Savannah.
That's right.
And so these are the implications of what we see. And then I had a white woman reach out to me and say, Keisha, between my husband and I, we have 4 degrees. My landlord just went up on my rent. We have not been able in the last 2 years to save enough money for a down payment for a house. And my landlord just went up on my rent. I am so depressed because we have 4 degrees between us and we can no longer afford to live in this city.
Oh, that much.
And listen, and let me point out one thing. I want to point out one more thing before we move from SCAD and their planned, right? So if we can put the SCAD plan back on the screen, because I want to show y'all something, right? So if you look here, right? Go back to the previous one. So the building that y'all see here, that's the original road, the head house and the building there that's currently there now, right? That's what's currently there now. That's the historic building, right? That's there now, right?
Exactly.
Now go to the next picture, right? So the next picture, what SCAD is really looking to do is demolish the building in its entirety, and pretty much keep no more than maybe 15% of the building. So from a historical standpoint, and I'm saying this to all of my historical preservationists out there, right? That's sitting on the MPC, because it's going to come before you, right? they're looking to demolish and eradicate the history that's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really, not only do you have a federal issue in terms of the Clean Water Act with the Ogeechee Canal, now you have a historical issue, right? Because now you're erasing the history of all of really the Black history of all of the Black men and women that worked and toiled at that building.
Yep.
That was loading and unloading the ice, the actual groceries, the goods that was actually coming through there. So and the thing is, SCAD, they got enough money where they can actually preserve and the actual building as is and build up the same way the JW Marriott preserved some of the building that was down there at the electrical building, the way they did it down there on the waterfront.
The power plant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if they wanted to preserve the integrity of the building as it's sitting there, they can do it. From an engineer's perspective, if they got to spend more money. No, so what? You ain't paying no taxes.
Zero.
So you can do it.
Every building and every piece of land that SCAD acquires in the confines of the city of Savannah comes off the tax roll immediately. Every building, more than $300 or $400 million worth of real estate has already come off of the tax rolls. And on top of that, the city of Savannah right now, what's on the agenda for the 27th of July is an absolute increase. They're saying they're going to keep the millage rate, but if they keep the millage rate with the properties being assessed at a much higher rate, everybody's taxes are going to go up, everybody's rent's going to go up, everybody's real estate. If you've got a naked lot, it's going to go up.
I agree, but then also what SCAD is also not showing is this, right? So also in order to build what they're trying to build there, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to have to shore up the Ogeechee Canal at that point, right? Yes. What they're not showing is what effect that's going to have on the Ogeechee Canal downstream, which is Yamacraw Village.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody showing that. Mm-mm. So when you look at the agenda, when I clicked on it, I clicked on every link on the NPC agenda. You don't see look. You don't, which is canceled now. Like right there, like I said, tomorrow's meeting is canceled. Right? It's on there. Like I ain't making this up. This is directly from the NPC website.
That's right.
Right. Like listen. Look again. When I clicked on everything on the agenda, right? Nothing on there said anything about this is the effect that the SCAD development is going to have downstream, right, on the Ogeechee Canal to Yamacraw Village. So again, there was nothing in the MPC staff report. There was nothing in the city report. So again, right? Mm-hmm. You want to, it's okay for the white folk to build what they want upstream, but you're not concerned about how that's going to affect the black folk downstream. I'm gonna say it exactly what it is.
Well, and to that point, Mr. Benton, I was at the Carver Village neighborhood association meeting tonight, and so that would be considered upstream, right? And so no one has had a conversation with the residents there, and so I say because your cousin, I think you said the chairman is your cousin, Pastor. You need to talk to him. I was essentially muzzled tonight for simply acknowledging to the residents the obvious. And the obvious is I've been in office for 3 years. And Carver Village has been complaining about essentially the same thing for 3 years.
3 years.
The drainage, the flooding, the encroachment of businesses and manufacturing companies in and around the neighborhood. And I simply wanted to remind them that while they have a very capable, able, and accessible district alderperson, she, along with myself and Alderwoman Miller Blakely, we serve as the minorities on council. And by minority, I mean in number, by votes. We are outvoted every single time. And we have been iced outside of the legislative process, which is inclusive of an opportunity for us to present, introduce, and acknowledge a piece of legislation, an idea, an opportunity for communities we represent.
That's right.
Opposite of our city's charter.
Amen.
In March of 2020, you can go back and look at the meeting, a vote was taken where it takes 5 people on council to put forth any legislation that's consistent with making anything a policy, an ordinance, or new rule or opportunity for our community. Mm-hmm. That, my friends, happens nowhere in the United States of America.
Nowhere.
Great city of Savannah, in the great state of Chatham. And I simply was sharing with the chairman that what Carver Village needs, want, and have been advocating for since we've been in office, in the face of the attempt to adopt a T-SPLOS, a transportation local special option sales tax, in the face of trying to take this big grab for lost. The county just grabbed this enormous amount of money from the city of Savannah.
Yes.
In the face of now taunting a millage rate increase where every municipality in this county, Chatham County government, the Board of Education, and the city of Savannah, all at the same time, are entertaining the possibility of not rolling back the millage. And this all in the face of major federal subsidies that these municipalities have received. Mm-hmm. Chatham County, the Board of Education, and the city of Savannah all are recipients of ARPA dollars via Biden's rescue plan to the tune of over $200 million. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Board of Education, 60 for the city of Savannah, and 55 million for Chatham County. How is it that these political representatives lack that much compassion? In the city's case, we're talking $7 million. Can I tell you how many times I've tripped over 3.5 million walking in the door of City Hall and flushed the remainder down the toilet? Mm-hmm. We have enormous acts of wasteful spending. And how is it that we can attempt to pass on a tax increase to our citizens amidst this fiscal volatility? And so as we go forth, when we try to explain these things, when I tell you that the citizens of Savannah have been gaslit and misled for so many years, it's like this adage that goes, people want simple leadership. They want to believe in a leader that they can trust. So much so that they will follow their leader through a barren desert, hoping and thinking that they are going to lead them to water, only to have that leader lead them to a mirage.
Right.
Of what water is, and those citizens will drink dirt. They will drink
where we are.
Right. I mean,
in our village, when I was attempting to tell the people, the truth of the matter is, we have giants of bookends. You have your county commissioner from the first district and has lived there for decades, and you have your mayor from the first district. Mm-hmm. Carver Village is in the first district. He actually opened the meeting at one point and said, Eddie DeLoach took our $57,000 $57 million away from us for some project. 57,000, I'm sorry. If you can say in one breath that Eddie DeLoach took it away, why not are you not blaming Van Johnson for not giving it back?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
He served you for 20 years. No, for 16 years as your alderman, and now 3 years. With a stroke of a pen, Chester Ellis can direct any resource at the county level. With the stroke of a pen, Van Johnson can direct any resource at the city level for the very district that they live in. And guess what? The first district that they live in is the poorest, brokest, most disadvantaged district in this city.
Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Just tell the truth. District. People, I need you to wake up. You have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and led astray. And it is no longer okay to just be Black and be in office.
Yeah.
You can bring more to the table. And it is incumbent upon the citizens of Savannah to hold your leaders, including me, accountable for our actions and our failure not to act.
Yeah.
And make sure you understand, it is in the best interest of the powers that be, the movers and shakers and the good old boys, that they take this candidate, this Keasha Gibson Carter, and berate her over and over again. Get ready, people, to understand the article in the paper today shows you the propagandistic methodology of a corrupt newspaper. You need to understand this. This is what they did to Dr. King. This is what they did to Rosa Parks. This is what they've done this to us over and over and over. Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King. This happens to all of us. The question is whether or not in 2020 we're going to let them set our agenda for the next 50 years. Because make sure you understand the boldness of them to decide to put this overlay over Frazier Homes and Kate Holmes, where they just renamed a street for our Black senator.
Come on now.
Okay? now, to decide that they're going to do. Listen to me why they're doing it. I want you to catch this. I've been involved in politics since I was 10 years old. I'm 72. I got 60 years of this. Put your big ears on. If they go before the MPC and enough of us show up to make them not vote for it, they're going to need the time it takes to appeal it to Van Johnson's clique on council. Okay? So more than likely, I just want to make sure, I'm not a prophet, but I am a prognosticator, and I'm here to tell you that this is where this is going. They're trying to squeeze this in on a just-in-case basis because they believe, and I believe they believe, that Keasha Gibson Carter will beat Van Johnson in November.
Yeah, well, okay. and
they've been fighting her. They've been fighting her from 3 months into her term. They started disinformation on her in March and February, the year they were elected. And every once in a while they say in the paper, she would be such a political force if this were not the case. If that were not the case, guess what? She is a political force. Whether what they're saying is true or not, they are definitely scared of us getting a real African-American mayor who will be fair to everybody.
Exactly.
Pro-business, pro-development,
right,
but also pro-working class,
right,
pro-poor,
right,
pro-black, pro-white, pro-Hispanic,
right,
pro-gay straight, pro-fair, pro-right, pro-justice. She wants to get it right. They don't want her in because they won't be able to steal enough to pay $14 million to put bricks on Broughton Street.
Right. And listen, Pastor Small, let me back you up on that. So Why is it that, right? When me and the rest of the citizens raised hell about the sign that was posted right there at Frazier Home, why is it that Van Johnson had to come out with a Facebook post saying that no, Frazier Homes isn't being tore down. You want to cut out the sign that says Frazier Homes. You want to leave the sign that says MPC, but yet why is the mayor of the city of Savannah speaking up for an asset that he quote unquote has nothing to do with? Why didn't Earlene Davis and the Housing Authority come out and say no, Frazier Homes isn't being tore down? Because on one case, right? On one case, you want to say that, oh, the city of Savannah has nothing to do with the assets of the Housing Authority when it comes down to Yamacroft Village, but yet when everybody when everybody worried about Frazier Homes being tore down, now you want to now the mayor want to come out and say, oh no. Frazier Homes and Frazier Homes and another affordable housing project isn't being torn down. So now what you're doing is you're contradicting yourself, Mr. Mayor.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, let me do this for the record. Every piece of property that's owned by the Housing Authority of Savannah is ultimately owned by the city of Savannah.
Yes, it is.
Fact. Now, make sure you hear me. In order to tear down, in order to apply for the demolition permit for Yamacraw Village, the permit had to be signed off on by the city manager. If it's not your property, then why do we need your signature? Now, what you're telling me is fat meat ain't greasy. You're throwing water on me, trying to tell me that it rain. No, but what are you doing?
Come on now.
Pouring water on me, telling me it's rain. People treat me like that. Let me tell you something. I haven't been sinful in a long time. I haven't cursed since 1975, but they put me on the edge.
Hey, listen. Hey, listen. You know what?
Not since 1975. I'm not gonna break my record.
Listen. Hey, listen, Pastor Small. Listen, I'm gonna put it to him like this. Look, you know what? Listen, I was educated at a good white school, Wofford College, and I was also educated at a good HBCU, North Carolina A&T.
Yes, sir.
And another good HBCU, Howard University.
Walk with me.
I can read real good.
Well,
didn't just go to school with the class.
Keep going back. What high school did you attend?
Oh, the Savannah High School. Let's get that right. You know what I mean? So there.
3 for 3. 3 for 3.
Middle school did you attend? What middle school did you attend, sir?
Hubert Middle School.
Okay, and what elementary school?
Riley Elementary, right there on the east side. Look, listen. I'm east side educated. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm east side educated. You know what I mean? But it's like
when I went to Savannah High, there were 24 black students out of 2,400 students. 24 blacks in the whole school. When I went to Savannah High, they dropped us off a block away from the school so we can walk through the white people screaming.
Wow.
I got called more N-words, and I'm being nice. I got called more N-words in a block and a half than I did the rest of my whole life.
Well,
and threatened.
Listen.
Be beat down at 15 years old. Walked in that school on my 15th birthday.
Pastor Smalls, listen. You looking at the first black football player to ever graduate with a physics degree from Wofford College.
What you say?
And the dean of the physics department looked me in my face and told me as long as he was dean of the physics department, and this was in 1998.
Ooh.
He told me that I would never graduate with my degree in physics. And I told him straight up, well, you must not know me or my mama. So
Yes, sir.
you might as well listen. I was like, well, I'm here now. I came in to major in physics. It is what it is. I graduated with my degree in physics, and when he wouldn't sign my card to sign me up for my classes, guess what I did? I signed his name for him. So, just like Malcolm said, by any means necessary.
By any means necessary.
By any means necessary.
Now, when you said that, I think about three ladies.
So that like I live that.
I think about Georgia Benton. I think about Frances Bright Johnson, and I think about Mamie Small Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we wouldn't be nowhere. I mean, we wouldn't be nowhere. We wouldn't know how to think. We wouldn't even know how to act like men if it wasn't for them strong women. And make sure you understand, we are sharing the screen with her offspring. Her name is Keisha Gibson Carter.
Ah, there it is.
Mind your business if you don't know.
There it is.
So if you don't believe it, tell somebody anyway.
There it is. You know what I mean? But and I understand, like people need to understand, like, we're not saying these things to brag on ourselves. Like,
no,
it takes that audacity.
It does.
To do what's needed for our people, and just for people, period, to thrive and to just get the right thing done, period. You know what I mean? Because in this day and age, it ain't about just us and our people, right? Because let's be real, it's white people that live in Yamacraw Village, it's black people that live in Yamacraw Village, it's Hispanic people that live in Yamacraw Village. You got young people, you got veterans. Like, yo, it's just people. You got straight people, you got gay people. It's just people.
What they don't even understand about the elders that live in Fraser Homes. They don't understand that there's a whole row or two of old folk that live in Fraser Home. What's going to happen to these people? Tell me what. I make them want to scream because they don't think it through. People in leadership, when you're elected, you're supposed to get your nose to the grindstone. You're supposed to do the research. You're supposed to understand the impacts.
No,
how can you move? How can you shut off 315 viable houses with no place for these people to go?
Listen, and when on that, you ain't even got a plan.
No plan.
To actually tell you ain't got a plan. You ain't got a pipeline towards you're building more not even affordable, low income housing to put them in. You know what I mean? And I gotta say this. To all of our so-called cornerstone of the communities, they're in Fraser Home and Caton Homes, Connors Temple, Garvin Temple, all of the churches there. God said, go out.
That's the word.
The Great Commission said, go out.
Well, don't even go to out. It said go. Just get up and go. If
listen.
That's and see that word. That word. Really
all I'm saying. Listen. All I'm saying.
I heard the first word was go.
Go. You right. You know better than me.
Go.
Listen. What I am saying to the churches in those communities is simply this. Federal law is in place. Federal law is in place for you to be the developers of your own communities. and do it in the way to whereas you control. If don't get me wrong, if these communities, do we need redevelopment? Yes, we do. But we can do it in the way to whereas the churches in those communities, you control it. And you do it in the way that it's in the best interest of those communities, and the communities and those churches benefit. Even if it is a hotel, you can benefit. It's federal law.
But here's the key to this. Watch this. If they move all the black folk out of the city, then who's gonna come to your church?
Hello.
I'm just telling you. See, for a few months, they'll probably drive from Pula or Port Woodward. But as soon as Mr. Slick, good preaching, sit, scream, and squall, spin around 2 times before he split, get up in those churches in Pula,
you ain't gonna have no congregation.
It's gonna be an exodus.
If they listen
from downtown.
Listen. If they get rid
to help the community around you.
If they get rid of Fraser Home, if they get rid of Caton Home, Connors Temple, you ain't gonna have no congregation. Garvin Temple, you ain't gonna have no congregation.
It's getting thin already.
Listen, because listen, I promise you, like Yamacross, like First Brian, we understand.
Well, let me just say, if you fight for the people right, you baptized 13 people yesterday. If you fight for people right, you would have baptized 13 people yesterday, Mr. Litway. You would have, if you fight right, if you do it God's way, He promised that He
and I'm
out for the people.
Right. And listen, and look, like I'm not I'm honestly, I'm not trying to call nobody out. I'm my mama child. I'm just being straight.
Well, you better than me, because I'm calling them out.
Wait, you know I'm better than me, Pastor.
The question is,
we have been hard because hard has been necessary. And I feel better serving right now than I ever have. It's still difficult, it's still hard, but it's not as hard as it was in the beginning. And it's only because of platforms like this and pastors like Leonard Small, who stood in the gap and stood on the wall for us. And I do want to say, we have been hard on pastors and churches, and I have to take a back seat to being hard on pastors because I was always trained. You don't put your mouth on the pastor. So I tried very hard not to do that. But there are some who serve as buffers and provide cover as opposed to coverage. And there are some pastors who try to mediate as opposed to getting involved and just calling things as they are, which has set us back tremendously, because I feel strongly that we should not have had to wait for another election season to vote somebody out to get it right. You know why? Because between the time we came into office in 2019, we have lost more than 10,000 working class and African Americans from this city. Mm-hmm. And that's by design, deliberate. And it's only because we had people from our faith community who are by far the strongest when it comes to our political system in this city. They were on the bystanders because we are majority African American. But in season and out of season, whether you are it doesn't matter. We shouldn't align ourselves with friendship, relationship, and kinship. Mm-mm. I've had to make those tough calls. I've lost some pretty powerful friends, and people who I thought were good friends until I stopped being good for what they wanted me to be good for, right? And so for those pastors who have reached out, who have provided support, and who have aided us, and I have to give a shout out to where I worship every Sunday morning at St. John Baptist Church, to say thank you, but we need more. Mm-hmm. We need more of you to stand up. We need more of you to respond to the call. And we need you to, well, I'll put it this way, Pastor. If you're not going to support us, don't get in our way. How about that?
Well, that's your position. But I'm on the what would Jesus do thing. And when I read the Bible, and I do, when I read the Bible, when they didn't do right, Jesus called them hypocrites. So now I know you can't do like I do. Keisha, listen, you're a politician. I ain't no politician. I'm a preacher. All I can do is tell the truth. Now, listen, we have had this problem. Martin Luther King did not write the letter from the Birmingham jail to the Ku Klux Klan. He didn't write it to the White Citizens Council. He didn't write it to Bull Durham. He didn't write it to George Wallace. He wrote it to other preachers because they didn't get in the game when they should have. When Jesus was crucified, you know who was yelling, kill him? The clergy. So I'm not trying to see, you heard me say this when y'all first got elected. I don't even go and ask them to join me. I don't, because we've got 40 years of the NAACP not getting in the game. We got 40 or 50 years since L. Scott Stell put his son's names on the line and Robert Robertson got blowed up with preachers not saying, I got blood in this thing. I stood outside on Alcorn Street and saw them bring my friend down. I saw his blood and guts in the ceiling. This is not a game for me. A lot of people say they're playing a political. They know how to play the game. It's not a game.
Not at all.
People are suffering. People are being displaced. Those people out there on Abercorn Street, in that tower, the disabled, the veterans on Abercorn Street in Chatham Apartments, when they just got summarily moved out, go anywhere and hope they can land somewhere. Wait a minute. When Clearview was summarily moved out, and the people who were paying their rent got dispossessory notices, which went to the magistrate court, and our mayor, and I'm gonna say it because he's elected, I helped him get elected. Our mayor promised us he was gonna go to the magistrate court and ask for those dispossessories to be removed. He did that as a soundbite on his show and never made one call to the magistrate, Chief Judge Moss. Never.
I had a lady call me just last week about that.
And over and over. Think about that. That happened like 2.5 years ago, and it's still affecting that family. Those were families. Those are real people. These are not political pawns. When they put these people out of Yamacraw, and even if they give them vouchers, there are no Section 8 housing.
No. And the fact is, it's already a running list of Section 8 recipients, and the fact is, these landowners, right? They don't have to accept Section 8 vouchers. They don't have to.
They don't have to. They don't have to because this council lacks the political will to engage the housing authority, which falls under the purview and leadership of this council.
Yep.
We fail to hold the housing authority accountable. We have thousands of units between all of our public development units in the city that are vacant.
Well, listen, not only that, first of all, the issue is y'all keep asking the housing authority when the housing authority is a quasi-governmental agency of the city.
Right.
Like, no, y'all keep asking instead of demanding.
Lorraine,
That's your problem.
how about this element? We appoint all 5 of the board members.
No. Let me make this accurate. You know,
So, you know what I mean? So, and you know what I mean? And, you know, and can you
council does not appoint
the mayor
5 members on the board. The city council.
You're right.
Back when Robert Hitch and Fred Wessel were on the housing authority.
Yes, sir.
The mayor at the time took it under his own auspices when it was first started to be able to appoint unilaterally the housing authority board. So nobody on the board of the housing authority was voted for by the council. Before Van, Mayor DeLoach appointed one, and Van has appointed the rest that have gone on that board since. And so they have given Miss Earlene Davis a blank check. She is one of the highest running the housing authority. She gets just under $300,000. I think it's $280 some $1,000 a year. Last checked, she gets $280,000 to neglect the care and upkeep of Yamacroft, Fraser, and Caton homes.
Well, why do you think she was driving by my house if she makes that much money? But I don't know. Why do you think?
Well, listen. Don't worry about it. You know what? As a tax-paying citizen, I'm about to call for an audit because according to the bylaws of the city of Savannah, the city charter, and the ordinances of the city of Savannah, every quasi-governmental agency is supposed to report financial reporting.
Yep.
And the housing authority, they're actually supposed to turn in all books at the end of the year.
Yes.
You know, I know a little something, but my family know a little something about accounting.
As of what? Daddy, mama, and you.
So
everybody.
Listen, I just learned that the meeting was rescheduled because they do not have a quorum. I know that our city manager is out of town until Thursday, so maybe he was the I don't know, three board members of the MPC called in on vacation.
Let me make it better than that. But see, I've been a pastor too long for you to.
That's ironic. That's goddamn. That's a whole goddamn ironic.
No. Let me go ahead and make sure you understand me.
I'm sorry. I don't mean.
I've been doing this. Yeah, you stop that cussing. Now, but I want you. But I want you to know. No, you need to know this. Who that you know of don't know 2 weeks away that they're going on vacation. Who wouldn't know
at this level?
Who wouldn't know 3 weeks ago that they were going to be on vacation for this meeting?
After you put all those signs out, you
put all those signs out, and you don't change it until the day before. Listen, I mean, I was born, early in the morning, but it wasn't yesterday morning.
Look, you have not been home, Lorraine. Those signs are all over this entire city. Well,
so what do you do? Wait a minute. So what do? You start putting, because you done messed up the date. You messed up the date, so you're gonna start the process over again and hope, as I know they do.
Because it's scheduled to the 25th, Pastor.
Okay, but you have a PhD in nuclear physics. I've got a PhD in psychology, human behavior. And I'm telling you that the thought is, while it's really news the first time, because black folk can't we suffer from attention deficit disorder.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We got ADD. We need to take our medicine.
The thought is that if we move it, they done work themselves up, then they won't show up.
Oh, we gonna forget.
Not this time. Not this time, buddy. No, we coming and we're telling on you if they allow us to, but make sure you understand. The same newspaper that put a fair, nice looking, responsible looking picture of the mayor today and took and put a picture of his opponent standing on the rostrum pointing at someone who had one time called her a girl dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now tell me how it is with all the pretty pictures you can get of Keisha Gibson Carter, that's the picture you got to show. Now you just tell me, because I might be stupid, I might even be slow, but if you give me long enough, I'll catch up.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You know what?
All the pictures you got of Keisha Gibson.
Don't worry about it. You know what, Pat Small, don't worry about it. You know what? The 25th, that's fine.
That's a good day.
You know what? That's a good day. You know what?
Good day too.
Listen, you know what? I'm a make sure Big Brother be there. In person. That give me enough time to make sure Big Brother is in place.
Well, listen, guys, let me tell you this. You all are good medicine. I laugh out loud a lot because it's my coping mechanism for how painful all of this is. But, this isn't supposed to be easy. But we expect for it to be fair. We're going to sign up to fight another day. We're going to stay on the wall. We're going to follow through on our commitment because we don't quit. And we're going to continue. And we can only do that with people with voices like yours and hearts like yours. And I just want to say thank you. And we had a lot of people interested in what you all had to say tonight. So I want to ask that you come back again and join me as we continue this conversation, because what my goal is, as I chart my course for higher office, is to do more listening, whereby we intend to be citizen led and attach that with action, which will be consistent with being policy driven, right? So that people can actually feel what we are saying, as opposed to just talking at them. Mm-hmm. With that said, as we go forth, I want you to commit to come back again, because we want to solve the problem. We don't want to just air the dirty laundry. We don't want to just talk about it. And we've talked about a little bit about what people can. That starts with engaging and activating. It's so encouraging to see people from Victory Heights to Parkside, from Parkside to Carver Village, from Carver Village to Summerside, from Summerside to Tatumville and Liberty City, Wilshire, Colonial Village, to see so many citizens coming out of their homes, denying their dinner table and time with their family and their free time to engage in community. And so we don't take that for granted. Mm-hmm. And while it oftentimes seems as if those little fiery darts that come at us are major and the majority, I really believe that we have more people who are for us than against us.
No question.
And that is encouraging as we go forth. And so with that, we are going to commit to come back to you, Savannah. We will come back to you for actionable steps that you can take. The vote for the millage rate is on the 27th. The new date for the meeting at the MPC is on the 25th. So we have another week to come together, and we're going to put a plan together. And you're going to hear more from us as your elected leaders and some others as to your call to action, because we can't do it without you. We're just one voice and one vote. But collectively, when we engage and form a unified front, we are a force to be reckoned with. And Savannah, I think we're about to show them something.
Now we are.
Right. We're going to get it right this time.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I can't do it without you. You know, it's campaign season and we're amidst raising funds. I had to turn in a financial disclosure today. And, the job of alderwoman, it pays about $25,000 a stipend. It takes care of supposedly our gas and I have to do hair and makeup, Pastor, so that they can get good pictures of me when they put it in.
Well, let me do this. Since you brought up the money, let me make sure they understand about the money. Van Johnson will actually, way surpass Keisha getting money. He's already raised $350,000 with 4, 5, 6 months to go. Okay, nobody's ever spent that much money on a mayoral race in Savannah ever.
And the job pays $50,000.
No, it gets worse. Watch this. The last time Keisha ran, she raised probably $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 at the most.
11,000 somewhere.
It was $11,000. Her opponent raised $200,000. So how did she win? She won by a simple concept that we learned back in the 60s. Money don't vote. People do.
Yeah.
With all that money, Keisha beat the bricks off of her opponent. Alicia Miller Blakely, again, a broke candidate, beat the bricks off her opponent. Wait a minute, it gets worse. The Jesus that I serve, he was broke too. But I've elected the Lord of my life, work with that.
Yes. Well, listen, Pastor, I thank you so much. And I thank you for your investment into our daily lives as we go about just that political sounding board. And I want to thank those who have contributed to our campaign. Again, we are running a grassroots campaign. People might say I'm crazy for saying this, but I do not intend to take money from people who do business with the city of Savannah, who are planning to do business with the city of Savannah. I do not want my votes to match my donor dollars. So we are committed to being transparent in campaign financing. We are committed to being that candidate who told you in 2019 that she is not for sale. And we are going to go forth and continually strive to be your humble servant, your passionate advocate, and your bold leader. And with that, I welcome and invite all who would seek to give to our campaign to look at it as an investment into Savannah, as opposed to what others are doing by making a down payment for Savannah. So with that, go to kg68mayor.com. That's kgc8mayor.com. You can visit my website there. You will find a donation link. You will also find additional links where you can find out more about me and the family that will be serving you, as well as opportunities for you to volunteer for the campaign, in addition to requesting yard signs and all kind of special loot that my dear friend, Miss Brenda Scarpati from Tybee Island has put together for us. With that, gentlemen, if you want to give any closing thoughts, you can. Otherwise, I'm going to say good night to Savannah.
I'm out of here. I'm done.
And will you promise to come back?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Well, I was driving up from Brunswick, Georgia. I'm in a fight down there for some homeless people. I'm talking about, Lorraine, you know, preachers ain't supposed to speak.
Listen.
One of our school zones once you got in Savannah, sir.
Listen, it ain't a sin, but it is a crime.
Nah.
Say this. I am not advocating for speeding at all. And Lord knows we need more speed mitigation in our city and in our community, on our streets, especially on your street, Pastor. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're being fair and considerate. And so many people have reached out to me complaining about the tickets that people are receiving in our school zones, because they are receiving tickets outside of school hours on weekends and at night. In addition, the tickets are $100 for the first ticket. And so do know that, but we want to be considerate. And we have asked the city manager to revisit how we are ticketing people. And that we acknowledge that that device is there, to give a warning, but also to incorporate a little more compassion and reduce the amount of that ticket. So we've made that request because I don't know that it takes $100 to get people's attention. I think you'll get my attention with the price of eggs. You'll get my attention with $25.
Amen.
So, there you have it, Savannah. I love y'all. I love y'all with my whole heart. And we look forward to seeing you next Monday. And somewhere around the town, you will see me it is campaign season, y'all. It is campaign season. It is campaign season. And so I look forward to seeing you somewhere. And if you want to hear from me, don't hesitate to connect with me via that website to make a request for a public appearance as well.
Yeah, I would. The last thing I would say that, one, look, I'm speaking directly to the residents of Yamacraw Village. Solutions is on the way. Y'all will hear more about that in the coming weeks. And I'm not talking about the church. I'm not talking about our ongoing fight with Erling Davis. I'm talking about solutions for you. All I gotta say is, you got to fight. You got to be willing to stand up, sign up, and fight for yourself. Amen. Resources are here to fight for you. You just got to stand up and fight for yourself. But the resources are here. To Frazier Homes and Caden Homes and anyone else, like, the resources are available. I can show you how to fight, but I can't fight for you.
Right.
I'm tired.
No,
this brother's tired. I'm already in the fight.
No, you're good. You're good.
I can show you how to fight, but I can't fight for you.
Yeah.
But if you want to stand up and fight for yourself, look, bring your own advocates to the table. We can show you how to fight.
Yeah. We're going to continue to join forces and connect you to other people who can help to undergird some of this. I'm encouraged. There are more advocates and activists on the way to help you all out, as well as you too, Pastor, with the Weeping Time and all of the efforts that you're putting forth in Brunswick. Help is on the way. Help is on the way. Help is on the way, because you have been a helper to us. And so I would be remiss if I did not say, because every time we mention Yamacraw, I promised her mom, Mr. Treya Gilliard, that I would mention the life lost far too soon of Ray Gilliard, who was killed in Yamacraw Village, and is still unresolved. And so if you have any information, please reach out to authorities. In the meantime, say her name, Desiree Gilliard.
Desiree Gilliard.
Good night, Savannah. I love you.
All right now.
like this. I 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 like this.